Good morning, beautiful being. It is great to see you. Here we are on a Monday morning, and Facebook's changed everything about how they do lives. Now I'm the little face up the top, and there's this big black screen that says comments will appear here. Maybe I'll get to see your comments now. So here we go. I'm inside because it's not exactly raining, but it's very misty, moisty, and it's windy, right? So I'm inside. And today we got rocks, but we're actually starting with something that isn't rock. This is the top part of a Douglas fir cone. Because you can see it's not complete, right? But doesn't it just look like a rose or a flower or, something with many petals? It's just beautiful. And today I just felt it say, well, I want to be showed off today. So here it is. Yeah. So, something beautiful. I picked this up outside our massage therapist's home when there was still a Douglas fir there. It's been cut down because, the land's changed. And it's beautiful, so there you go. Now, coming back to slightly more familiar territory, we have, yes, something sparkly and crystally. So this is apophyllite, which is the shiny, sparkly little whatnots of white crystal, and the orange stuff is stilbite. Apparently, there we go. Surely, yes, you see, I can read your comments now. Awesome. It's great to see you, Linda. Completely different setup, but it's not all bad. So stilbite, which is the orange, and apophyllite, which is the sparkly little whatnots of white. The only fun part is I really can't see very well what I'm showing you. But anyway, you can see it better than me. I can see it up close. It's just a glorious thing. Apophyllite is normally bigger crystals, but this is just a little one with little roses on it. And I really like the stilbite. And look at the back. You can really see the structure of it, how it grows in blades. So, here you go. And I think the orange is from arsenic, so you're not supposed to hold it too much because, of course, you absorb things through your skin. But I'm not going to worry about that. This is sodalite, which if I remember rightly, Linda, is one of your favourite stones because blue is your thing. And it's one that hasn't been shown off for a while. It's looking very pretty on camera. It's a lovely blue with, of course, the white bits in it that sodalite has. And, well, there you go. Sodalite wand. Just beautiful and lovely to share with you. So there we are, our rocks today. And we're inside, out of the weather. And today I want to talk about ease. I haven't talked about ease for yonks. It's crazy. It was just something that somebody said last week about trying to change, about, working at it. And I thought, but there's a thing about trying and efforting and struggling and working for things. As soon as you are trying anything, as soon as you're making an effort, as soon as you're working at it, all of those words are about there's some degree of effort that I got to try. I've got to hustle. I've got to work at this. And that's not a state of creation. That is a state of separation. If you're saying, I have to try to get better. Hi, Abigail. Lovely to see you. I have to try to heal. I have to work on my healing. I have to work on myself. What you're actually saying is, I am in this state of being here, and I want to be in a state of being over there, which is somehow different in some way, and I have to make an effort to get from here to there. Now, there is truth in that. We do have to make some kind of effort to create change. But the problem with effort is that it tends to breed more effort. And I'll give you an example from the business world. And this was something really valuable that I learned from my first mentor. She said to me that when you are setting up any kind of business, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to set it up the way that you mean to go on. So if you, like I used to think that, okay, so I'll work my ass off for 2 years and then it'll start to get easier and I can back off and have it easier. That's not going to work, because by the time you've built the thing with all of that working your ass off, then it's going to be normal and part of the whole structure of the thing that you're working your ass off. And then you want to sit back, but you can't because you have to work your ass off to keep that whole thing turning. Oh, yeah. And it's kind of the same with our growth and our healing and our change and our transformation. If you're working your ass off, then you are saying there's got to be effort, there's got to be difficulty, there has to be struggle, I have to overcome everything, I have to climb the mountain, I have to work really hard. And that just keeps on being who and how you are. So you're kind of affirming that you're never going to get there. You're certainly affirming that you're not there. And as we've discussed many times, the more you tell the story to yourself or to other people about, I need to be different, I had this experience and it's marked me and it's changed me and I need to be something different and I got to get over it and I need to understand it and, and all of that stuff. Morning, Mike! The more you're affirming who you are as that person who has to keep working to heal yourself. And so struggle and effort and trying and working on it have this trap inherent if you don't realize what you're telling yourself. So one of the things that the midpoint between effort and entropy, you're quite right, Linda, and that's really what we're talking about, is how do you create without doing this, I'm working at it, I'm trying, I'm efforting, I'm struggling, whatever. And whenever I work with people, one way or another, it's quite common for me to say, hey, hang on, listen to what you just said. You just said, I've got to try harder, I've got to work at this, or whatever it is. And it's like, really, do you? What I have learned to do is to start to imagine and create who I am when it's already done. Because that's like getting in a teleporter, at least in your imagination, right? You've still got 3 dimensions going on and everything else. But you can get so very focused on fixing the problem that you never actually put your attention on being the solution. And this is what I've found is most useful to me. And everything else that I do is about getting better at being and becoming and rehearsing and practicing and embodying the solution, the who I want to be, the how it is when it's already done. And there's still effort involved in that, but it's a different kind of effort. Because if you think about it, if you want to be healed, right? What you really want is to feel whole. You really want to feel well. You want to feel fabulous. So what if you put in effort into practicing feeling how it is to be whole and well and fabulous and able to do whatever you want? Now that's a completely different effort to saying, oh, well, I've got to take all these pills and I've got to do all this physical stuff and it's all work and it takes so long. And all of that can have very necessary value, right? Yeah, tedium and struggle versus movement and change. Quite right. And so it's also about, are we putting effort into changing objects and matter and things that we do and activities as opposed to who we are being? Where do you put your energy? Where do you put your attention? Because the more you put your attention on all the stuff you have to do and all the things you have to fix about yourself and all the changes you need to make and all the therapy appointments you need to go to, and there's nothing wrong with any of that, the more you are continuing to endorse the self that has the problem. But if you start to also, because sometimes, you have to manage, if your body's gotten really sick, you have to manage your physical body. Some people can do this without any physical intervention, but most of us have to do a balancing act, right? So you're managing your body, but you're getting whatever results you're getting, and they're not really giving you what you're after, right? And that's because, that's what happens. It's like, oh, it's done that much for me, but I'm still not getting, there's a gap between the results I'm getting and who and how I want to be. So what I understand now is that if you're doing all this work to heal your body or your relationship or your job situation or whatever it is, but let's talk about bodies and physical healing for a minute, and there's a gap between the results you're getting and where you want to be, then your mind and your body are still in opposition. They're still fighting each other. Your mind is saying, this is where we're going. And your body's saying, yeah, but I'm stuck here. and I'm one way or another stuck into the past that you've programmed me into, and I need you to put more energy into becoming the person who feels fantastically well. But now, why is that even worth doing? Why is that not just, stupid wishful thinking? Well, here's the thing. Remember, if you can really think a thought of, oh my God, I feel so good, and actually make that thought so real that you have the experience of feeling really well and really good. And today we're not talking about how you do that. But let's say you can take the thought and make it an experience, make it a visceral experience, something that you feel. Well, what have you done? You have thought the thought of wellness and wholeness and freedom to do what you want to do, and, no pain and feeling energy and all that stuff. And because you thought that thought, and you really thought it, right? You focused on it and you made it bigger, and you imagined what it would smell like and taste like and feel like and sound like and what you'd be doing, and, all of that. You made it so real that your brain woke up and paid attention to all of that imagination, because we can do that. We can make an experience real just by thinking about it. Really, we've all done that, going to work or going to meet with somebody that we were not very comfortable about, and you just think about them and your stomach starts to churn, or you get angry, or whatever it is, We can totally create our experience by thinking. So if you focus on the thought to the exclusion of everything else, to the point that you start to feel it, what's happened is you fired that thought enough in your brain that the thought, every time you have a thought, to have that thought fire and go from one neuron to the next, to the next, to the next, you need neurotransmitters, and the neurotransmitters respond to the frequency of the thought. You get different neurotransmitters for different thoughts. I'm still excited by this, because you can literally change your brain chemistry by how you're thinking. But it doesn't stop there. Once you have got the chemistry in your brain of, I'm thinking a really strong thought about wellness, for example, those neurotransmitters speak to your chemical brain, and off you go with the neuropeptides that then talk to your hormonal centers and literally give you the chemistry of feeling good. Now your body has still got the physical condition or whatever it is, but you are literally giving your body a taste of the experience of feeling healthy in advance. Right? So you're actually having the experience of feeling healthy for however long you can keep that going. You're having that experience. Now, why is that? That's great, Maddie, but really, what the hell? What difference does that make? The difference that it makes is that while you are doing that, you are, to start with, every time you practice it, you are kind of knocking on a door. On the outside of your cell, there are little cell receptors. Remember, I talked to you about the cell receptors, how they're a bit like the craters of the moon. I was talking about association, how the brain uses known things to make unknown things known. So you imagine a crater of the moon, but it's more like a flower, and it's got an antenna. And the chemical that comes along, which just might be a neuropeptide, activates that antenna, and then the flower opens, and it docks it, and the cell wakes up and makes a gene. Activates a gene and makes a protein. Right? And that's what our feelings do. And different feelings literally activate different genes. Now, if you spend a long time having the genes, or having the activation of sorrow or grief or anger or shame or depression or whatever it is, then you can actually change your gene expression over time by the continued bombardment of those unbalanced, unhealthy chemicals, which over time, it is a known fact, program the body for disease. It changes your epigenetic expression and sets you up. It puts you on a genetic destiny to whatever it is that you have a predisposition to. So, for the time that you are feeling something different and actually focusing on it to the exclusion of everything else, enough that you start to feel like it's happening, you are giving your body something else. And that receptor, your cell that's been switched on to the hormones of stress, or the hormones of sorrow, or the hormones of anger, or bitterness, or resentment, or whatever it is, if you keep on doing that, sooner or later, a different receptor is going to switch on and a different gene is going to get woken up and programmed. And the more you do that, the more you change the not so good programming that's gone on in your genes, because you have programmed it that way for however long, feeling however you did for however long, not realizing that this is literally what happens to us in every second when we feel something. You start to change the program at a genetic level. We are our own epigenetic masters. And this is how, literally, people create spontaneous remissions. And some people do it in an hour or in a minute. Me, I do it step by step by step, incrementally, I can tell you. Because I have healed things that don't heal. And this is how I've done it. So, there's a long way from effort. But the point being that when you become it in advance of the experience, it's not just wishful thinking. It's happening in your body. And it programs your body for something else. And the other thing that happens is when you really have that experience, oh my God, that was incredible. I really felt what it felt like to feel whole. And it lasted for a couple of seconds, but it was so real, and I remember it now. Gee, I wonder if I can practice that again later. And you see, you've created a new neural net, because it was so striking that your brain pricked up and paid attention. Went, oh, that's what that feels like. I've been having experiences in the last few days, a little bit longer, of a whole new level of feeling worthy. Which is really, how is it when you feel worthy? Really? I mean, do you know how it is to feel worthy? I mean, beyond, I'm worthy. But, I can't even really try to describe it. It's so worthy that I don't need to feel worthy anymore, It's so present that it's beyond worthiness. It's just, I'm present, I'm divine, what do you mean? What is this concept called worthiness? It's irrelevant. I can't really describe this feeling, but I know how it feels. And I keep practicing it because it's really good. And I want to be that. Because we only allow into our lives what we feel worthy to receive. That's just it. And oh my God, if it's not coming, you don't feel worthy to receive it. And you may not be aware of how you don't feel worthy to receive it. But there's a clue that if you feel like you have to struggle for something, you have to try for it, you have to work for it, then there's a program running that says you only get what you want after you've put in a certain amount of pain. You have to suffer, and then you get the joy. You have to go through this crappy life, and then you die and go to heaven. What? No, it was a long time ago that I looked at that in my own way, sort of square in the face, and thought, I'm not going to live like that anymore. It was a long time ago, more than 30 years, and it was a turning point in my life. Now it's taken me a lot longer to work out actually how to do that. But this whole idea that we have to overcome, we have to climb mountains, and it has to be painful, and then we get the reward, it's just no. So if you start to think, well, how would it be if I am my desires, whatever it is that you desire, if it's abundance, well, you really want to feel free to do what you like. If it's love, well, you want to feel joy, whatever it is, how would I feel if the thing that I desired happened? If it's here, if I'm living it now, how do I feel? Really? Feel into that. Give yourself an experience of what that's like. Dive deep into it. Fall in love with it. Fall in love with the experience. Can you do that in advance of it happening? Because if you can, you're going to give yourself an experience of it that'll become yours. And I know I've spoken about this, but what I'm learning the more I do this is that the more I fall in love with the experience and the feeling in advance of it coming to me, well, the less I actually need the thing to come. I know it's coming because as soon as I'm becoming it, I know it's going to find me. As soon as I am it, I know it's going to arrive. But then I don't need it anymore because I'm already feeling it. I've got the feeling. I've got how I want to feel. And I fall more and more in love with the feeling, and I fall more and more in love with myself because I can create that feeling and it's mine, and there's nothing outside of me, really, that can take it away unless I allow it to. Crappy things happen. I have a choice about whether I let the crappy thing that happened yank me out of my experience of this is good. And here's the thing, but that doesn't mean that I have to get yanked out of what I've chosen to be. So it is a dance. It's totally a balance. And, you do have to deal with life. I'm not saying just become so heavenly minded and no earthly use. But realise that if you are finding you think you have to work at something, you have to put in the effort, you have to struggle, you have to try, some part of you is saying, I am not there. I do not have this. I am separate from it, and I need to claw my way up the mountain to get to the top so I can have it. But that's not really what we're about. That isn't, yes, that may work, but it's going to take a really long time. And, I know, because I've been trying to climb that mountain for 30 mumble years, and only now that I've stopped trying to climb the mountain and I'm becoming the mountain top, am I getting results? Until I started doing that, niet, nada, zip, bupkis, nothing. So I know that this works. I really do. It doesn't work predictably, and by that I can't predict how it's going to happen. But it does work, and it works perfectly. You just can't be a control freak. Hello, that was me. You have to be able to surrender into the unknown. So, I don't know how this is going to happen. Heck. And get over the fact that I can't see how it's going to happen, and I don't know, and, I'd like to, and all of that. I have to become the person who's on the mountaintop when I have no rope, no crampons, no ice picks, nothing. And I just have to be there anyway. That's the journey that we're on. And that's what I mean by ease and becoming it. And the mind says, no, I want to understand. But you can fall in love with the future that you desire. You can become it. And then you experience in advance it becomes who you are. Big love. Thank you for joining me on my Monday. Mwah. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.